I think of Arnold Palmer on those nights when I watch Golf Channel before the eyelids go south. These days, the missus and I generally call it a day with Stephen Colbert's monologue, because laughing at the madness is a better alternative to the deep frustration the other channels promote. But I think of Arnold on my GC nights because of something he said to me over 20 years ago, when the channel he co-founded was just getting off the ground. He said he wanted people to watch it as they watched Johnny Carson, as something pleasant and relaxing and a good way to head to the wonders of sleep. On Thursday night, Christine nodded off early and I found myself watching a tour event called the CJ Cup, played at Nine Bridges, which is on Jeju Island, in South Korea. I had heard of the tournament, but that's about it. There was Adam Scott, surfing on a longboard off the Jeju beaches. Jeju Island was compared to a Hawaiian island by an announcer I could not identify. Suddenly, Sang Moon Bae, a golfer from South Korea, was playing golf across my flat screen, and then KJ Choi, an announcer, said something about golfers returning to tournament play after serving in the military. Choi, one of my favorite golfers, had a mandatory stint in the Korean Army, as did Bae far more recently. My mind drifted to a question that had been posed earlier on another channel, that only a tiny percentage of Americans knew Gold Star families, in which a member had been killed in the name of service to the country. I do, but not in an intimate way. It was midnight, or later, and I was watching the golf but with a drifting mind. It went to Donald Trump, and the 73 or 74 Lindsey Graham claimed he recently shot. Deeply improbable. Drifted to Kim Jong-un, then to the insanely dangerous rhetoric about nuclear annihilation casually tossed about by both of them. I watched Patrick Reed, another of my favorites, pull a ball out of a hole, his cowboy boots surely in the Nine Bridges clubhouse. He's fit and strong and a little overweight, an American golfer of the old school. I thought there was something actually patriotic and inspiring, the act of Red going about his professional life. It only looked like business as usual. I am not riffing on the old Phil Mickelson when I ask what will Kim Jong-un do next, but there was Reed, in a tight red shirt, pulling a little white ball from the darkness of a hole bottom, racing into the Jeju Island light, all the while making his way to a 72-hole score and another in all likelihood big, fat direct deposit American check. Good for him. Business as usual, despite the wildly unpredictable man ruling the country next door. An ad came on with the unmistakable sparkly lights, electric and colored, of Las Vegas. I think the spot was for the Las Vegas World Amateur, which starts in February and is open to anybody with a credit card and a handicap. I'm not Vegas guy, but work has brought me there close to a dozen times over the years. I see hotels that don't have slot machines. They exist. Still, the spot showed a good time, just as a similar tournament held in Myrtle Beach, the World Amateur Handicap Championship, is a good time. No one could watch that ad and not think of the unbearable sadness of the Mandalay Bay shooting and the 58 souls who went to a country concert and did not make it out. Another 546 were injured. Mandalay Bay has golf courses, of course, and Pat Perez and Natalie Gulbis and other names we know well are affiliated with them. Any of us would play there, but with a crack in our hearts. On a lighter note, I first went to Vegas in 1985, to caddy in the Panasonic Las Vegas Invitational, then a spring tour event. It was there that I heard the story about Ron Streck, the old tour player, who was not engaging his pro-am partners at all. One of the Ams said something like, I realize we're all playing lousy and this is not a good time for you, but could you maybe read some putts, maybe share a couple words with us? You want a couple words? Streck asked. Yeah, that'd be great. Lighten the mood. Here's to, Streck purportedly said. F you, the old tour. Reed could have played it. You could see him hitting trap draws with a ballota ball. Nick Price, I happened to be in the same group as he in that 85 LVI, was the international team captain at the President's Cup this year. Nick is a gent, and a man who has seen a thing or two. He served in the Rhodesian Air Force in the mid-1970s. When Rhodesia became Zimbabwe and was led by the brutal dictator Robert Mugabe, dictator is Bishop Desmond Tutu's word, Price renounced his citizenship. That was in the mid-1980s. He has since reclaimed it. A golfer with 2 feet in the real world and its problems, and he made it to the Hall of Fame all the same. When I saw Nick at the President's Cup, we had a quick conversation about it. So happens Reed. He loves Reed's game. I'm sure it reminds him of his own. Trap draws and ready to play. Manly golf. I woke up Friday morning and one of the first things that popped in my head was an old Herb Wind sentence from his 1964 New Yorker essay called North to the Links at Dornoch. Herb wrote, I rank high among the pleasures of a misspent adulthood the dozen trips to Scotland I have been fortunate to make during the past 25 years. Erb, by the way, played in the 1950 British Amateur in 1950 and served 2 years in the Air Force during World War II. He graduated from Yale in '37. He was a poet, a novelist, something of reading and writing polymath. I was lucky to know him. Those 2 words from Erb, misspent adulthood, sometimes haunt me. I have heard Davis Love talk about living in the cocoon of golf, and being grateful for it. But that was some years ago. Everything's topsy-turvy these days. The whole world's at 6s and 7s, and why the house hasn't fallen down about our ears long ago is a miracle to me, Sabina says in the Thornton Wilder play The Skin of Our Teeth. 6s and 7s is a phrase, used by Shakespeare and others, to depict a world in disarray. At the CJ Open, various poor souls entered those numbers on their scorecards. They had to be upset, but putting down high scores is a nice problem to have. We all know that. Michael Bamberger may be reached at mbamberger0224@aol.com.